Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Live from the She Shack. My name is Donna, and I'm coming to you today from Pierce, South Dakota, located on the beautiful Missouri River. Today is March 18th, 2020, and this is Flosstube number 2. I want to start out by thanking each and every one of you for watching my video, subscribing, and leaving comments. Your kind words and encouragement have meant a lot to me. I'm humbled by the response, so thank you to everybody out there. I also want to say hello to my mom and dad. Hi, Mom and Dad. They are subscribers to my channel. Today, I thought I would show you what I've been working on over the last month, share with you some of my framed projects, show you some quilts my sister has made, and end with a botanical moment from the She Shack. So let's get started. First, projects that I have hanging on my wall. This first project is very special to me. I actually made it from my mom in 1983 for Christmas, and my dad actually constructed the frame that is made in. This is an old Precious Moments. I do not know what the name of it is. And as you can see, I used a glue stick to adhere it, so there's a lot of brown marks on it, but I still love it. It's got a special place in my heart. Probably the first piece that I ever framed. The next two projects are something that I did not make, but my boyfriend's mother made. They're very special to me, and they are scenes of Minnesota. They are loons from that area of the country. Unfortunately, I don't know the name of the pattern or the designer, but she did make two of them, and I was lucky enough to receive them. So this is a loon with the babies. If you don't know what a loon is, it's a waterfowl, and this is an iconic scene of a loon on the lake to see the babies riding on their back. And this is the second loon project. Absolutely love those projects. I'm going to share with you now 7 Mirabilia fairies that I have stitched and have hanging in my house. The first one I stitched in 1987. Her name is Tatiana, Queen of the Fairies. All Miras have metallic thread and beads on them, or most of them I should say. She probably has the least amount of beads and metallic thread on. But I did stitch her and fell in love, and that was my start of my love for Mirabilia fairies in particular. The second one I stitched is actually my favorite Mira. She is Midsummer Night Dreams Fairy. I love the oval frame. I love the colors of her. Her wings are so cool. My next Mira is Cottage Garden Fairy. great color combination. Cottage Garden Fairy. So the next fairy I stitched was Mirabilia's very first fairy. And I know this pattern was out of print for a while, but I believe it was one of the ones that was offered again a couple of years ago when she reprinted them. So this is Mirabilia Fairy Moon. She has a lot of beads on her. That moon is solid beads. Was a challenge to stitch. She's stunning. Really like this one. She is rather large, but a beautiful project. This is Petal Fairy. She's also quite large. As you can tell, I like to have different shapes of frames, different materials, wood, metal. I don't like anything to match. Petal Fairy. This is Audia, the Garden Fairy. She has a lot of jewels on her and a lot of beading on her. Although she is the smallest one, she probably has the most bling. She is Audia, the Garden Fairy. The last fairy is called Lily, Queen of the Woods. She also has got a lot of beads on her. The beads on the flowers over here are actually two different sizes of beads. It was the first time I ever worked with the jumbo beads. The different size. Like these right down here are larger beads. She's probably the fairy that I get the most comments on and that most people generally consider their favorite. And I think I just misspoke her name. She is Lily of the Woods. I do have one other Mirabilia that I'm going to show you. This was a project that I made for my boyfriend for Christmas. I had started out for a couple years trying to make him a Santa Claus for every Christmas, but I was making most Santas this big, and that only lasted for 4 years. So this is Mirabilia Winter White Santa. I had the framer put it in a more masculine frame. Winter White Santa was a great project. So those are my framed pieces that hang on my wall. I also, as you probably noticed, I do not put glass on any of my framed pieces. That was a recommendation from my framer. The same person did all of those frames, so I've just adhered to that. It's a totally personal preference, but I do prefer not to put glass on those. So those are my finished Mirabilias. I hope you like them. Next, I thought I would show you what I've been working on, my whips. I am going to start with what I call the world's oldest whip. This whip I started in 1987. And I had just gotten out of college, and I went to a cross-stitch store and found this project. I'd never bought a kit before, and I am a huge cat lover, so this project called to me. You will notice that I said it's a whip, so that's approximately, can't do my math right now, a really long time ago, 1987. And I have decided that it's time to finish it, as it probably will take me only a couple hours to finish it. A couple of reasons I did not finish it was, one, it's on Aida and I don't like to stitch on Aida anymore, and two, it requires back stitching. Now I have a lot of projects that I have back stitched on, but since I have moved to a smaller count of linen, I just try to find patterns that I don't have to do much back stitching on anymore. Probably doesn't make sense, but that's the way it is. So this project is this. I even kept the old brochure from it. It's a Paragon. I'm not sure if they are in business anymore, and it's just called Cats. So that's what it's supposed to look like. And here's my progress. Oops. As you can see, I don't have a ton left. Some back stitching, a little bit of filling in, but not very much. So one of my cross stitching friends and I had a discussion earlier this year and decided that we would take projects like this, and on a certain day of the week, I'll probably pick Monday, we will work on projects that we don't have finished and get them done and get them framed and get them on the wall. So that is a extremely old whip called Cats. This one's almost more shameful than that one, although that one is older. This one I haven't finished quite yet. It's just a little bit of back stitching left. I did stitch this in 1997. Again, it's on Aida, and the only thing I have left on this is back stitching. I don't know the name of the pattern, but it's from a series of Christmas stockings that was made by, I think the magazine was called Country Cross Stitch, and there was a whole series of stockings, full coverage basically. I think it's called the Music Room. But as you can see, it is literally almost done. I just couldn't bear to backstitch on it. So hopefully in the next month or so, I will show you the completed stocking. The third oldest whip. I believe that I stitched this in around the year 1999 or 2000. And I have really tried to finish this one. And it's been difficult for me. I have tried to work on it once. It is a Mirabilia. It is called Santa's Magic. And this has got more Krynic thread on it than any pattern I've ever done before. I did use the called for thread on this, and the called for material. You'll see big spots of material or big swatches like this. They actually don't have any stitching on them. They're just the material showing through. But he is a really cool Santa. But there's a lot of metallic. And the biggest reason I stopped stitching on him was I made a mistake in the metallics here. Kind of lost my place and then got frustrated. I'm probably 75% finished with this one, so I'm going to try to give myself some encouragement to finish him. So those are old whips. I have 4 other things I've been working on since the last video. A few of you have seen, a few of you have not. So I decided that it was time to get back on working on my long dog. And when I stitch, I don't know if some of you do this or not, but I don't like to just stitch one place on the sampler or on my pattern. I like to go all over the place. So what I worked on this one was I did this upper alphabet, and I started on this motif right here. This is really fun to stitch on. It's just a back stitch, but very fun to work on. And I did finish this small border right here. The name of this pattern again, so made a little bit of progress on that one. I did start into my Mary Cotton, as I call her, my serial killer, Mary Cotton by Kathy Barrick. And I made a major mistake in her. When you saw this last time, I did not have any of Mary done. Excuse me. I did not have any of Mary done. So I stitched her and after I completed her, I realized that I started her in the wrong place, which usually doesn't matter, but there's a gentleman that stands beside her here, and I actually started her 6 stitches this way too far. It should be over this way 6 stitches. So I'm going to be doing some creative fixing of this pattern. Her companion is so close to her, and it's hard to see that there's not much space here, so I'll have to do some adjustments in this area of the pattern and this area of the pattern. So stay tuned for that one. Once I'm able to get back to it. Once I'm done being frustrated with that major mistake, I'll get back to her because I really did enjoy her. Love her dress. Mary Cotton by Kathy Barrick. Was in a Kathy Barrick mood. I usually am in a Kathy Barrick mood. I usually always have a Kathy Barrick pattern started. So this is Dear Heart. I did not make much progress on her. Only a very small start. Again, this is feldspar. So just a small start on her. One other thing I would like to mention is a lot of people ask me if I sew in hand or if I use a hoop or if I use a Q-snap. I actually taught myself to sew only about 3 years ago. Before that, I was a stabber method. And once I decided that I wanted to learn how to sew, I was using a Q-snap, and I knew that I had to use a hoop. So I tried a spring-loaded hoop, and I do use a spring hoop when I stitch on my long dog sampler because the material is really thick and there's a lot of it. So this is the only project that I use this type of a hoop, the clamp hoop, just because it's so big. The rest of them, I use vintage embroidery hoops. I am a junkie for embroidery hoops, vintage embroidery hoops. All of the hoops that I own that are vintage all have this lining of felt inside. This is actually a Gibbs hoop. I'm old, I can't see without my bifocals. Let me see. I don't think that's going to focus. Anyway, this is a Gibbs hoop. The mechanism is just a spring that you pull apart. So that is my Gibbs hoop. My favorite hoop is my queen hoop. I'm sure many of you know what this is, but this is a queen hoop. How you can tell is this mechanism on top. This hoop actually also has the felt lining, and you twist it to tighten it. And why it's called a queen hoop is not because of the manufacturer, but the size of the hoop. I also have a smaller one that's about this big in the center, maybe about that big, and that is I'm having a senior moment. It's got a different name. It's not a queen, but it's the same manufacturer, and it's unique because of this turn. These hoop manufacturers also made metal hoops, so I do have a hoop like this that's a metal hoop. The only difference is in the inside, instead of the felt lining, there's cork, and I use those often also. So I get my hoops from a local hospice store. I think they each cost me 25 cents, and whenever I find a hoop I get very excited. So I go there often and I look to see if they have any old hoops because I do collect those. And I was there about 3 weeks ago and I found this hoop, which if you know what this is, let me know in the comments below. I'd never seen one like this. I almost did not pull this off the wall because this type of twist is found in newer hoops that are commercially made these days. But as you can see, this guy also has the same liner inside. There's no brand or trademark on him. This you simply turn to tighten like this. The other thing that's unique about this hoop, if you can tell, it's a little bit smaller than the outside is a little bit smaller than the inside. So it just goes around that piece that's that felt piece inside. And this is the mechanism on it. I have done quite a bit of research and could not find the manufacturer of this hoop. So if anybody knows, I'd appreciate that. This was owned by someone with the initials of MP on there. She put it on both sides, but so that is a different type of hoop. All of these are antique hoops. The ones with the felt inside is how you can tell. Again, a Gibbs has got that kind of closure on it. My queen hoop has got this circular. All these are American made. And then this is my unknown with this type of closure on it. And it's a little bit smaller on the outside than the inside. All of them work well. I enjoy all of them. I use usually these two sizes of hoops. Once in a while I use a smaller hoop, but one of my passions is antique embroidery hoops. Another whip I did not show you last time. It's a fairly old whip. This is my Brenda Gervais Eau Tannenbaum. I think from watching my first video you can tell that I like to use bright colors. I like to use hand-dyed fabrics. This is done on 36 count fossil from Picture This Plus, and I am a Minnesota Vikings fan, so I needed a purple Santa Claus. Not quite done yet, but there's the beginning of my purple Santa Claus. For all of you Viking fans out there, skål! And the last thing I'm going to show you is a project that I have been thinking about starting for a really long time. And it came out of this CD. If you're a sampler lover and you want a bunch of beautiful samplers at an extremely reasonable price, I think this CD cost maybe $30 or $40, but it's 14 years, 80 issues, and I did comb through this and I located a sampler that I've been thinking about starting for a really long time. My ancestry is, I have German in my background. My last name is German. This is just a copy I made on my printer, so it's not the best. It's Vielander sampler, 1816. Vielander samplers are usually made black. This is actually a tan piece of linen on the back of it. But I had won through an auction a hank of silk thread, Silks for You from Australia. Another project bag my sister made, a little different one. Again, Minnesota Vikings. So I needed the purple hank of thread. This is silk. You could almost wear this as a necklace or a scarf, but it's a beautiful hank of silk. It's hand dyed. It's kind of a purpley gray. You can really see the purple there, and then the gray. Since that is such a big, intricate sampler, I did not want to start that without doing an experiment. So last weekend, we had a little bit of snow here last weekend, so there was actually snow on the ground. We haven't had a lot of snow this winter. So I decided that it was time to try a little dyeing, hand dyeing. So I did an overall gray on this material, and then I scrunched up my material and put it in a jar and put snow in there. It was light powdery snow, and then I put black RIT dye in there and then shook it up a little bit, and this was the effect. I thought it turned out really, really interesting. But more importantly, these are the two motifs that I've started from that sampler, and I decided to just try them to see if the material and the threads matched, and I'm very pleased at the way it turned out. I don't know if you can really see the variegation in there. But I do really like that. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking certain elements from that larger sampler, ones I feel that I like. So I'll just take a sporadic one of these. I'm working on a round one, and I'm basically going to make up my own mini sampler from that big sampler. So that's Vilander Sampler 1816, and that was from the Sampler and Antique Needlework collection, issues 79 and 80, which are the last two editions that they actually produced. Next, I'll show you a little bit of my haul. I don't have much haul, but as you know, watching Flosstube makes you shop. And I saw this pattern repeatedly. Valerie at Stitching in the Barn had interviewed Teresa Baird, and she showed this beautiful project called Mary Sophie's Pennsylvania German Sewing Set. So there are 23 little individual pieces to all of these sets. And I thought it was charming, interesting, a challenge. So I ordered this pattern. I did convert the colors. The colors are pretty traditional, reds and greens. There's a bit of purple in there, a little tan, but not many colors. There are, in fact, 5 colors in here. So I have converted to these colors, and I'm going to do this on Picture This Plus Bramble. Sorry. So it's a cocoa brown. This red is poison apple. The green is called Attic Tea, and then there is Pumpkin Carriage, and these are all crescent colored Belsois silks. And the purple I chose to use is a Karen collection. That purple. So I'm excited to start that. Hopefully I'll start that this coming weekend. I like to do different interesting projects and different patterns that I haven't really seen a lot of people do. But I did see some people do this one, and I absolutely had to have it. This is Love Abide by La Di Da. And I thought that was a great saying to hang in my house. The only other piece of haul that I have is, probably not surprising, a Kathy Barrick. And it is Rodney. I do have it kitted up with the silks. I just have not decided on what kind of material I'm going to stitch him on. I do like the bramble that I just showed, so he may also go on that bramble. So that's my small bit of haul. So that's the end of my cross-stitching section of this video. So if you are not interested in quilting, I will sign off and say goodbye and thank you for watching. But if you would like to see some quilts, I have 4 quilts that my sister made here. I am not a quilter, so I will try my best to remember the names of these patterns. My sister, I think I mentioned, does make my project bags, but she is a long arm quilter, and one of her specialties or her unique niche that she does on 95% of her quilts, she makes a lot of t-shirt quilts for people, where you just bring a stack of t-shirts in and she cuts them up and puts them into a beautiful quilt. But she almost exclusively uses minky on the background. If you've never felt minky, the next time you're in a fabric store, find some minky and feel it. It's extremely soft. It's really beautiful. I have a minky quilt that I sleep with on my bed every night. It's just nice and cozy and comfy. So here's my sister's quilts. This one's too big to show you the whole one. Trying to kind of show the pattern she used. Flowers and swirls. Although I don't know the technical name for this, I know this was obviously made with triangles, and I think they're called half square triangles. She's been trying to teach me terminology, but I just want to stitch. Anyway, an absolutely beautiful quilt. I'm hoping she's going to give this to me so I can put it on my bed. The next one is a little bit smaller. This is actually a flannel quilt that does not have minky on the back. This is just squares also. Circles are her pattern on this one. I really do like her palette of colors that she uses. She's got a great eye for color. This one is a smaller quilt. This is, I think, would be considered a lap quilt. I absolutely love this color on the back, and I love this pattern. Let's see if we can get a good shot of it for you. When you quilt on the minky, you can really see the pattern. And this last one of hers is called Swizzle Sticks. Again, hoping she'll give this to me. It's a very fun quilt. The back to it is really fun material. So swizzle sticks. So that's just a little taste of my sister's quilting. She does a great job. She makes some beautiful quilts, and I will feature some of those in my next Flosstube videos too. So to end this video today, a lot of you have asked about my she shack and all my plants in here. A lot of people have asked about specific plants, but today I thought I would just take my botanical moment and show you a couple things. First of all, the red plants, probably the most frequently asked question. These are poinsettias. I do have 12 poinsettias in here. There's one of them. So when Christmas is over, everybody in my office building gives me their poinsettias if they're going to throw them away. And then I do grow them in here. This one right next to me here is about 3 feet tall. He actually has 4 plants in him. And then I have other ones throughout here also. So any red that you see are poinsettias. I do have one in here that's about 7 years old. So they are my favorite plant, and they do stay red year round. My dad is the one that got me started growing poinsettias or saving them. My dad's got a really green thumb, and he can grow almost anything, and I think I did inherit that from him. But the environment in the she shack is also always 70 to 72 degrees, so it is a great environment to grow plants in. And I thought it would also be fun to show you something that probably many of you know, but maybe none of you have ever tried. So if you like celery, next time you get a stalk of celery at the store, just chop it off, put it in a warm container of water or small cup. Here's my little cup. Here's my celery. This guy's been growing for 10 days. It's the stalk. I just cut him off, but he's growing pretty good. It's getting pretty good. He will be ready, and then I just leave him sitting in my cup of water. He likes to be in direct sunlight if he can be, and that will take about 2 to 3 months for him to be a big stalk of celery that I can then harvest and eat. So my plan is to get a couple more and stagger them, so about every 2 weeks I have a new stalk of celery, and I will continue to grow that. There are actually many plants that you can grow in water like this that you can recycle from your own house. So if you're interested in that, let me know and I'll share some of those plants with you. But a fun way to recycle and grow your own food, celery. And then I thought I would show one more plant for you today. This guy right here is a Schefflera tree. Easy to grow. Doesn't require a lot of TLC. Very hardy. Doesn't take a ton of water, but will grow quite tall. I think this Schefflera tree should grow to be about probably between 6 and 10 feet tall. I actually have 4 of these in my she shack right now, so looking to pass a couple of those on to some people. So that is a Schefflera tree. Now I'm going to end with one more plant. This is the plant I have probably the most of in my she shack. In the corner over there is one of them. And then throughout, you can see them in other places in my she shack over there. And that is aloe vera. Aloe vera is also a pretty easy plant to grow. I put them in little pots like this. I actually combined other succulents with them, and they spread and grow like crazy. So there are a ton of little plants in here. My big one in the corner over there, I actually broke up that plant and replanted into other pots. And from that big pot, the one I have on this side, I actually took 80 plants out of there. So I've got a lot of aloe vera right now in my she shack and give them as gifts all the time. So that is aloe vera. The other nice thing about aloe is if you get a burn, all you do is just cut a piece of this off, use the inside for a salve, and it's a natural home remedy. Most of the plants in my she shack are air plants or plants that give off a lot of really good oxygen. I have jade in here. I've got a spider plant in here. The big guy you see right here, he is a pothos. The vines you see creeping over there, that's another pothos. So next time that I film a video, it'll look a little different in here as I'm getting ready to make the vines crawl up the side of the she shack and across the roof. My she shack, if you have feel like there's a little echo on this video, I have 10-foot ceilings by 10 and 30 feet long. So it's a just nice wide open space, a great place to spend time stitching, reading, listening to a book, watching football, or just enjoying time with friends. So I hope I didn't forget anything, and if I did, I will make another video soon. I thank you again for watching, and until next time, everybody stay safe. See ya.